What is going on, guys? Andrew Hayes here, finally back with another video. And today, I am going over my top 10 movies from 2019. This has been a pretty incredible year for movie, I gotta say. And I'm actually pretty surprised. The year didn't start off too strong. Like in the first half of the year, there were a couple movies that, really stuck with me and that I loved. But, as soon as July hit, man, things got going for this year. It felt like banger after banger after banger of a movie just kept on coming out. And, it was honestly pretty hard to make this list because, I did narrow it down to 10 movies. And I do have honorable mentions, but even, beyond my honorable mentions, I still have a bunch more movies that I would love to talk about, but that I just won't because, just of time and whatnot. And just because, I want, it to be special to be made on my list and even to be an honorable mention. So it was pretty tough to make this list, but I finally did it. I'm pretty proud of my list, pretty happy with my list. And, I can't wait to share it with y'all. But before I do that, a couple things. Once, as always, I didn't see everything. I did see quite a lot. This is actually, I think, the most I've ever seen in a particular year. 125, I believe, was my final number. That isn't probably a lot compared to some other people. But that's what I saw. That's a lot for me. And I still didn't see everything. So, just keep that in mind. And two, this is my opinion, so please respect it. If there's something that you think that should have made my list, or that you would have personally put on your list, that you think I'm crazy for not putting on, please let me know down below. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I would love to hear all your lists. But without further ado, let's get to it. I do have honorable mentions, like I said. I usually do 5. But I'm going to do 6 this year. Because, like I said, it was such an incredible year for movies. And there's one particular movie that isn't in, the 5 honorable mentions that I have to mention it. I know I'm breaking my own rules, but I just feel like I have to mention it because this is honestly, to me, the first movie that I truly loved is the one that just missed out, and we'll get to it. My honorable mentions are Quentin Tarantino, The First Date, the documentary about Quentin Tarantino, Rocket Man, Us, The Peanut Butter Falcon, El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and the first movie that I truly loved from this year, Happy Death Day to You. Without further ado, with my honorable mentions out of the way, let's get to my top 10 favorite movies of 2019. Starting with number 10, the final movie I saw this year. The movie that really prolonged me from making this list. This is, like I said, the last movie I saw this year, and I am glad that I waited as long as I did to see it, because boy, did this movie blow me away. That is 1917. Sam Mendes' latest effort about World War I. And, man, was this a spectacle to behold. Not only is this a technical masterpiece, but it's just such a riveting story that constantly has you at the edge had me at the edge of my seat, and at times felt like it was a horror movie just because of how tense and scary things got. I fully expect this to sweep the technical awards at the Oscars with because of its masterful sound mixing, masterful cinematography, just masterful everything on the technical aspects. But just, I wouldn't be surprised if it won Best Picture at this point. It did win the Golden Globes, which was weird, seeing a movie I didn't see or that had not come out yet win. But I could completely understand why I won the Golden Globes. And I love this movie so much, and that's how incredibly strong I think it says. This being number 10, it shows how incredibly strong this year for movies was, because this is only number 10. We still got there's still 9 other movies that I love more than this. With that being said, number 9, Avengers Endgame. This is the definition of an epic movie. It is the final conclusion in the Infinity Saga. And this was basically, 10 years of making movies, 10 years of storytelling, leading up to this very moment, and it all paid off. This is not only my favorite MCU movie, but it's just one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. It is 3 hours long, and you don't feel the 3 hours at all. It goes by so quickly with, the first 2 act kind of, not like a slow build, but this build to the third act, which is as epic as third acts can get. And it just 10 years of storytelling all wrapped up into one movie. I think the Infinity Saga could not have concluded any better with Avengers Endgame. Coming in at number 8 is The Joker. Or Joker, I should say. I don't know why I added the, but number 8, Joker. This is initially a movie that I wasn't, when it first got announced. I'm talking about a few years ago when it was announced that we were getting this. I'm like, I don't think we need one. And then, Joaquin got announced as the Joker, and I'm like, oh, okay. And, as time went on, my excitement got more and more and more, and it still managed to blow me away. This is not a typical comic book movie. And I don't even want to call it a comic book movie. I just want to call it a movie. This is art. In the purest form. And just this character study of Arthur Fleck, I should say, it's just so mesmerizing, and Joaquin Phoenix was perfect for this role, and just completely blew me away with this. Stands completely on his own, as his own version of the Joker. I think there's no need to compare him and Heath Ledger, because they're both very different in their own way, and just this movie, it left me speechless with how it was done, and how, honestly, kind of real it felt. And that's what the scary thing is how real it felt, and that's why I love it. Coming in at number 7, Marriage Story. A movie that, I don't want to say I wasn't surprised, but I was very intrigued because of all the word of mouth it was getting, and this movie floored me. Again, Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson delivered the performances of their career, and I think the main reason why I love this movie so much is because of how real it felt. These felt like real people going through a real divorce, and honestly, I kind of just felt like a bystander or like a fly on the wall listening into their conversations, and I just was absolutely floored by the end of it, and I just don't know what to say about this movie other than I was floored, and that it completely amazed me. Coming in at number 6, probably the movie that surprised me the most this year, and that is Toy Story 4. I did not expect the movie to be as good as it was, when literally I was so skeptical and so against a 4th Toy Story with how perfect I thought the ending was for the third Toy Story. I go, they don't need to go any further. And then I saw this, and I understand why they needed to make this movie. This is a movie that I honestly never knew that I needed. This literally is the perfect conclusion. It's everything I love about the previous three, and more. This has its emotional moments like always. It's funny moments like always, and just it's a story that completely surprised me, and it's I think up there with some of the best Pixar movies. Coming in at number 5, Knives Out. Knives Out is a completely original whodunit where it's funny, it's suspenseful, has you at the edge of your seat your whole time, and surprises you with all the twists and turns, and ultimately left me so satisfied with it, and now there are reports that there are going to be more movies starring Daniel Craig's character, and I'm all for it. I can't wait for those, honestly. Whatever year the new one comes out, because they're working on a new one, it's instantly going to be at the top of my most anticipated, and I'm sure that one is going to be amazing. Coming in at number 4, The Irishman. This is without a doubt a very different movie from Martin Scorsese. I know it is a gangster movie, a mafia movie, but it is different than any of the other ones that he has done, and I think it works so much, and it wouldn't have worked as well if Martin Scorsese didn't do it. Robert De Niro gives, honestly, not only one of the best performances from him in a long, long time, but one of his best performances of his career, and same with Al Pacino, his best performance in a long time, and Joe Pesci given a very different, reserved, nuanced performance that is honestly quite scary when you think about it. And it's 3.5 hours long. This is probably the longest movie I've ever seen. And again, like Endgame, you don't feel a single second of it. It just goes by so quickly because of how invested I was with it, and it's just so amazing. Very different than what Scorsese does, and this made me appreciate him even more as a director. Coming in at number 3 is Uncut Gems. This movie, basically the best way to describe this is a 2-hour, a straight anxiety attack for 2 hours straight. Like, that's what this movie feels like, and it's just Adam Sandler gives the best performance of his career. Honestly, my favorite performance of not only the year, but just one of my favorites of the whole entire decade. And just, it's crazy. It's very unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. And, I loved Good Time as well, but this far surpasses it in my opinion, and I honestly can't wait to see what the Safdie brothers do next. And I honestly think it's a crime this movie is not getting more Oscar recognition, because this movie just is perfect on so many levels. Coming in at number 2 is Parasite. This is without a doubt the best foreign film I've ever seen. This movie, one of the best movies of the decade, one of the best screenplays I've ever seen, and this is my favorite screenplay of the whole year. And what I love so much about this movie is that the first half is very different tonally than the second half, and I feel like without someone like Bong Joon-ho or someone like him doing this so masterfully, that could have been a mess, but he does it so seamlessly, and the second act is just so crazy, especially the end. This is mastercraft filmmaking on so many levels, and honestly, it's getting so much praise. Won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. He's getting so much Oscar buzz, and I could totally understand why, because this is honestly just one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. All right, coming in at number 1, which should be honestly no surprise to anybody, considering how much I love this filmmaker, and that is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin Tarantino, as you guys know, is my favorite director of all time. And so I was instantly excited for this, and this somehow managed to exceed my expectations and blow me away. I have seen this numerous upon numerous upon numerous times, and each time it still manages to blow me away and to just get better each and every single time. And this is a very, very different movie than Tarantino has made. And I honestly think that this shows how great of a filmmaker he is and how versatile he is. Because, of how it's made. And I feel like if anybody else tried to make this movie, it just wouldn't work. And because of Tarantino, it works so well. And you're so invested with the, Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth, played masterfully by Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. And it's about their friendship and about the golden days of Hollywood. And it's a love letter to Hollywood. And it honestly showed me why. It reminded me why I love movies. And why I just watch them. And this is the movie that has stuck with me the most in 2019, and had just blew me away far more than any other movie, and affected me the most out of any other movie in 2019, and that is why it's my number 1. Thank you guys for watching. I really enjoyed doing this video. Please be on the lookout for my next one. I do promise, and I know I say this every year, but I do promise to be more consistent this year with doing reviews. I don't know when my next review is going to be, because honestly, I don't watch much in January, because there's never really anything interesting I see in January. So I really don't know what the first movie I'm going to see is, but hopefully it'll be sometime in February. Maybe I'll see a January movie, who knows. But I was thinking about, I'm currently watching You on Netflix. I was thinking about maybe doing that, so I may do that. I don't know, but I don't know when my next video is going to be, but just please look forward to that. Please be on the lookout for that, and until next time, guys, holler if you hear me.